Good morning everyone and welcome to this special meeting of the Douglas Shire Council being held on Tuesday 15th of June 2021 from Moscow Council Chambers. I hereby give notice that in accordance with section 277E of the Local Government Regulations 2012, the special meeting of Council will be restricted in numbers of public attendance because of health and safety reasons associated with the public health emergency involving COVID-19. This special meeting of Council will be available to view via live stream on Council's website and will be available for others to watch at a later time. I'd like to acknowledge the Guugu people who are the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, and would like to pay respect to their elders both past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to other Indigenous Australians who may be listening or watching our meeting this morning. I note all councillors are present, and of course our CEO is here and our staff that are required. Conflicts of interest that we need to ask, of course. Nothing to come through today. And that takes us straight to the agenda items as listed. So our first one up 3.1, the adoption of differential general rates for financial year 2021 to 2022. The recommendation, of course, is the Council resolved to, pursuant to section 81 of the Local Government Regulations 2012, the categories in which the rateable land is categorised, the description of those categories, and pursuant to section 81-4 and 81.5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 of the method which land is to be identified and included in its appropriate categories as follows, which is written in the report which all councillors have and is available. If I can have a mover on that one, please. Councillor Scomerton. Seconded by Councillor McEwen. Councillor Scomerton, do you wish to say anything?
No, that's fine, thank you.
Anyone wish to speak against? Any other comments from councillors on that one? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. (3.2) Mowbray Valley Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge 2122. The recommendation, of course, is there for everyone to read. It's quite a long one, so I just won't go through it. It's in the document. If we can have a mover for that one, please. Councillor Zamataro. Seconded by Councillor Scomerton. Got in there. Councillor Zamataro, did you wish to say anything?
No.
Anyone against? Any comments? We'll take it to the vote then. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. (3.3) is the Daintree Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge 2122. If I can have a move for that one, please. Councillor McEwen. Seconded by Councillor Scomerton. Councillor McEwen, do you wish to say anything?
No.
Anyone against? Any further comments? We'll put it to the vote then. All those in favour? And that's carried. (3.4) Thornton Peak Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge 2122. Is there a mover, please? Councillor Scomerton. Seconded by Councillor McEwen. Just got in there. Scomerton, do you wish to say anything?
No, all good, thank you.
Anyone against? Any further comments? Put it to the vote then. All those in favour? That's carried. (3.5) is the Wonga Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge 2122. The move for that one, please. Councillor McEwen just got in there. Seconded by Councillor Scomerton. Councillor McEwen, anything to say?
Okay.
Anyone against? Any further comments? We'll put that to the vote then. All those in favour? That's carried. (3.6) the Bloomfield River Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge 2122. Will the mover for that one, please? Councillor Zamataro got in. Seconded by Councillor McEwen. Councillor Zamataro, anything to say? Anyone against? Any further comments? We'll put that to the vote then. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. (3.7) the Refuse Special Charge 2122. Again, it's quite a lengthy recommendation. It's written in the report. Have a move for that one, please. Councillor Scomerton. Seconded by, I'm happy to second that one. Councillor Scomerson, do you wish to say anything?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Anyone wish to speak against? Any further comments on that one? We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Okay, 3.8, utility charges and associated rating matters 21-22. Again, it's a very lengthy recommendation, which is there in the document. You have a mover for that one, please. Councillor Scomerson, seconded by Councillor Zamataro. Councillor Scomerson, would you like to say anything?
No, I think it's all pretty straightforward. I think it's one good thing. It's good to see that we have kept the rate rise very minimal, so it's good.
Anyone wish to speak against? Any further comments? Put that to the vote then. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Okay, 3.9, a statement of estimated financial position 2021. The recommendation is pursuant to section 205 of the Local Government Regulations 2012, the statement of the financial operations and financial position of the council in respect of the 2021 financial year. The statement of estimated financial position be received and its contents noted. Also, the financial report for the period ending 31 May 21 be noted. Is there a motion? Councillor Scomerson, seconded by Councillor McEwen. Councillor Scomerson, would you like to speak to it?
No, all good. Job well done.
Anyone wish to speak against? Any further comments from councillors? No, it's a very detailed report, so thank you very much for that. That's good. We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? And that's carried. All right, 3.10, the annual budget 21-22. The recommendation is pursuant to section 169 and 170 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the Council's budget for the 21-22 financial year, incorporating the statement of income and expenditure, the statement of financial position, the statement of cash flow, the statement of changes in equity, the long-term financial forecast, the relevant measures of financial sustainability, budgeted sources and application of capital funding, budgeted movement in reserves, budgeted rates and utility charges, capital works program, the total value of the change expressed as a percentage in the rates and utility charges levied in the financial year compared to the rates and utility charges levied in the previous budget, the revenue statement, and the revenue policy adopted by Council Resolution on 27 April 21 as tabled to be adopted. I'm happy to move that one. Is there a seconder, please? Councillor Scomerson. I think I'd like to start again by thanking you, Ms. Colleen, and your team, of course, Joe and Sandeep, for the work that you've completed on what has again been an extremely difficult budget for our Shire. No one would have predicted COVID-19, and no one certainly would have ever predicted the ongoing effects this virus has had on all economies around the world. Unfortunately, Douglas is certainly not immune to these ongoing economic circumstances, and an incredible amount of time and effort has gone into these budget reports to ensure we can get the best outcome for our ratepayers. The acknowledgement of that work to your whole team is paramount. I'll start by saying that this is a budget of reality. Whilst I know I would certainly absolutely prefer to have seen a lot more things that I know residents and ratepayers are asking for, the simple fact is that this financial year, we as a council also need to recover. We need to recover from the shortfall in revenues that occurred whilst helping businesses and residents in the various forms that we did during the heightened COVID-19 period. Upon reflection, I certainly have no regrets in doing so, and I'm proud that this council was able to assist where we could. Now, though, it's the time to bring the direction back to making this council and the region sustainable for the long-term future. I believe this is a responsible budget that continues to deliver transparency, sensible investment and renewals, as well as strengthening the Shire's economy for its future. Last year, COVID-19 lockdowns and restrictions depleted our local economy. We must learn from this. If we don't, it was a wasted experience and could well occur again. Where we'll be at the end of this period will be determined by the tough decisions this council makes now to set ourselves up for the future. In the 2021 financial year, this council budgeted to deliver its biggest capital works program, bringing over $33 million worth of projects. For a small council, this is an achievement well worth noting. This budget currently has a further $16 million going to capital works, with items such as $1 million investment in trunk infrastructure to bring the new Craigley estate online so we can increase our housing availability, $8 million in civil works, including the cycleway from Cooga to Mosman, replacement of Annex's Bridge, replacement of Warnett Bridge, and roads and footpaths and curbside renewals. We will commence works on the Mosman Port Douglas Sports Master Plan, further the Indigenous signage program, put $450,000 into parks and gardens, and most importantly, over $4 million into further future-proofing our water and wastewater with renewals, upgrades and improvements. As further grant funding does become available, more projects can be added to this list. We will continue with sensible policy and investment to build our resistance to the outside influences by continuing to grow our rate base, diversifying our industries and exploring revenue-raising opportunities. This council continues to have an important role to play in keeping our local economy moving. Whilst we are gaining towards the elusive surplus goal, we can't lose sight of ensuring that our communities are sustainable as well. Council's financial position is now expected to be pushed back to a $2.35 million operating deficit, and we have been able to maintain the minimum general rate increase to 2.8% across the board, better than the 3.3% increase that was originally forecasted. Meanwhile, about 36% of people living in units known as residential building units will see a reduction in their rates bill. You will also see through our new categories that if you live in your house or unit, your rates will now be lower than those with holiday homes or rental properties. The new categories achieve a more equitable distribution of rates closer in line with community expectations. Under our new categories, people who live locally in their house or unit have a fairer assessment of their bills than ever before. There will be winners and losers in these new categories, but the playing field is certainly becoming more even, and further rate assessments will be made this financial year to further improve the fairness and balance of the rateable properties. I do appreciate that some may be critical of this minimum increase of 2.8% being more than CPI, which was the goal, and I'll be the first to apologise for that. But no one foresaw the effects of COVID-19, and we must ensure that we continue to have enough revenue to be able to offer the current service levels plus more in this shire. We are persisting at looking for ways to create jobs, alleviate housing shortages, repair infrastructure, and ensure our economy becomes stronger. Unfortunately, we are still facing uncharted territories, but we continue our commitment to getting the shire back on track through growth and diversity rather than cutbacks and reductions. Does anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Nolly?
Yeah, thank you. So I will speak against this budget today. I believe it is a precarious budget that stretches the boundary beyond comfort and beyond prudence, and therefore, being beyond prudence, it's not really responsible. A $3.6 million deficit is going to take us 7 years to pull back, according to the long-term financial forecast. Look at the comparison of the amalgamation deficit, which was $4.1 million, and that took a year less in comparison. Other notable comparisons between these two budgets was the revenue for the 14-15 budget. The amalgamation budget was $33.7 million. This year's budgeted revenue is $47.5 million, nearly $14 million more, yet the difference in capital works is only about $8 million. So capital works don't make a big difference. Where is the money going? This year's budget for operational expenditure is $45,000 short of $50 million, so we'll say $50 million, compared to $39 million only 7 years ago. $11 million difference in a few years, but for the most part, just in the last two budgets, last year's and this proposed one. A deficit will occur in budgets, and that's not in contention, and COVID happened. What is concerning is how it's been handled. With the amount of revenue that this shire has today and historical evidence, there's proof that there can be less spent to get the same result. In a smart budget, if you continue to increase rates, as is happening here, the deficit should decrease more quickly than what has been presented to us. In a successful, prudent budget, There's either rate rises or more done about cutting the operational budget and bringing that under control, one or the other to decrease the deficit more quickly. The deficit needs to be better addressed, and there needs to be a better plan to get out of it faster. The longer it takes, the worse it is for a shire. In this budget, the rates continue to increase, but value for money decreases. Where are the promises now? As a councillor, I continuously get clear messages from the community that council should exercise financial and operational constraint, focus on critical infrastructure in the community, and ultimately drive a smart approach across the organisation. With the large multi-million-dollar deficit this organisation now has, council needs to exercise great operational restraint to avoid cost blowouts. It is undoubtedly a challenge, but greater rigour and prudence to the commitments and investments that council do must be implemented. The 2021-2022 budget is neither here nor there in my eyes. It doesn't tackle the deficit question aggressively enough, nor does it bring value for money, considering the amount of revenue coming in comparison to just a few years ago. I am not in favour of this budget.
Anyone else wish to speak in the positive? Yes, Councillor McKeon.
I just have some questions, if you don't mind, to Mr. Lim. Just in relation to the grants and subsidies, we know why that $10 million difference is there because we haven't finished a few projects. But I just noticed in there that we've got 4.5 million penciled in for next year, where normally on the long-term area we have 1.1. Is there, in the long-term projections?
Yeah.
Budget, is there something, do we have funds already being promised to us? And if we do, can you just let us know what they're for?
Sure. Through the Mayor, yes, although there will be some carried forward capital grant funding from this year, that doesn't wash out until we know what's completely finished and can be carried forward, and that's up to the audit, usually around September. So you will see in around November when we do our revised budget, there'll be the carried forward projects, so there'll be an increase probably to the works being conducted and also an increase with that carried forward funding. The 4.5 or 4.6 million that we have in there at the moment, we only ever put in new funding that is guaranteed and being approved, and we do have some funding in there. We've got some roads to recovery funding. We've got funding for the Coogee to Mossman cycleway, funding for Warner Bridge, Anage Bridge. There was some local community roads and infrastructure funding, some works for Queensland funding that was going towards smart meters. I think there's 1.6 total works for Queensland funding in there, and we've also got some North Queensland Recovery and Resilience funding for some water security and disaster response. So there are a few buckets there that we are guaranteed we've been approved officially.
Yeah.
So that's why we've got them in there already. But yeah, you will see that lift, the revenue and the expenditure, so we'll probably both lift at the budget review and everything washes out from the audit.
And today with the state budget, maybe we might get some more. Yeah, we can have. But generally, I'm happy with the especially since we're moving forward with the sports master plan, the smart meters program, the raw water. The resealing has always been a contentious issue here because they say to me previously, probably 2 or 3 councils ago, they had a program in place that would have had every road in the shire sealed if it was continued on, but for some reason stopped, maybe being Kings. And the Coogee cycleway, it's great. So it's good to see some of these projects coming forward.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak against?
Look, I have an issue with the main issues of operational expenditure, $50 million. It's increased something like $11 million over the last 6 or so years. I find it hard to support this, to approve this budget without direction as to where this operational expenditure is being used. We're talking $50 million. We have a deficit of $3.6 million. So I'd like to, I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know where it's being spent, $50 million. I mean, theoretically, one way to get through our deficit quicker is by raising the rates. that's not an option at this point in time. And one way, in my mind, would be to maybe look at ways to decrease operational expenditure.
Moving further. Sorry.
Oh,
That's it, all right.
Oh, you look.
That's what I
I
thought you
was
might have
saying
more out.
something, sorry.
Councillor Scomson.
No one likes that rate rise at all. That's just part of life. And but to be able to deliver to our ratepayers, we do have a rise. With the environment that we are in at the moment, we haven't. It's been very hard for this council to be able to make ends meet. So, yes, there are options that Councillor Zamatara has brought up that we could probably look at. I don't know. When does the budget have to be finalised? Now. Yeah, so,
Through the mayor, the rates, because we've done an extensive rates modelling review, and we have to actually communicate that to the public before we go out with our rates, which go out in July. So that's why. Plus, we prefer to have a budget up before the end of June because we have staff who need direction on what they can spend from the 1st of July. So it's not optimal to go past the end of June.
yeah, that's a shame because, Councillor Zamatara has brought up some valid points. Unfortunately, it should have been brought up in the workshop. We could have discussed it a bit further. Would have been a perfect opportunity. So, but I do agree with a couple of points that the other two councillors have said. But it's a shame that we've left it to the last minute. We couldn't have discussed it further in the workshop. So, at this stage, I support the budget for this year.
Thank you, Councillor Tomlinson. Just final comments then before we put it to the vote. One of the main goals that I had myself personally was better services. I don't recall the last time I actually received a phone call saying when's the grass in the park going to be cut since this council's been in place. That was a regular occurrence. These things cost money. We are offering better services. Critical infrastructure, we're at a point now where we have to do it. If this work had been done in previous councils, we wouldn't be at the point where we are now, where it desperately needs to get done. We're having to do it. It's that simple. And these things cost money. As far as our deficit goes, we've gone from 3.6 to 2.3 in 1 year. It's $1.3 million has been knocked off that deficit in 1 year. I think that's a pretty amazing feat. And I think, considering what we're only raising it by a small amount and the work that we are still doing for this community, to knock it down by that is just amazing. And the last thing I'll say is that we are not alone. Okay, I was having dinner with the executive director of QTC for local governments on Sunday night, and we are not alone. Every council is in the same position. Every council is having problems with their ratios. So, the fact that we are travelling as good as we are for a small council, I think that is absolutely amazing, and the staff need to be absolutely congratulated on it. So with that, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor McEwen, Councillor Scomson, Councillor Kerr. All those against? Councillor Nolan, Councillor Zamatara. The motion passes. I do believe that's the last agenda item for today, so we will close the meeting at 10:23. Thank you very much.